Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and today I'm back with another card making video tutorial and some rainbow birthday balloons cards featuring Papertrey ink July 2023 release products. These cards feature lots of beautiful balloon and birthday themed product, including some stamps and coordinating dies, individual dies, or standalone dies I should say, and an awesome background stamp. We're going to start with the birthday background stamp first, and we're going to stamp a couple of backgrounds. Now, this background is slightly smaller than A2 sized, but we are going to start with a big enough piece of paper and just trim down after we have it stamped. I'm also going to do both of my backgrounds for these cards at the same time. Even though both cards are slightly different, they both feature the exact same background. We're going to prep our background with the powder tool and stamp over the background with our clear embossing ink. So I'm just going to make sure my ink is really good and inked up before pressing it down. I've got a sticky mat in my MISTI to help hold it where it's supposed to go. Next, we're going to sprinkle on some white embossing powder, and then we're going to do embossed resist over the top. This is one of my all-time favorite techniques, and I love the way the ink blend background sets the tone for the entire design. So we're going to grab a little spoon here and sprinkle this on. Now, if you have been here for a while, you know that I love a good text background almost for everything. I think they're very, very versatile, and this is an amazing one. I love that the text on this background stamp has lots of different fonts, but yet it's still perfectly understated, I guess, if you will, and just provides an amazing background. So we're going to take our heat tool and make sure that the entire thing is good and heated up. And you want to keep your heat tool moving to avoid scorching your paper. Now, I know with a white on white, it does make it kind of hard to see that text background until we start adding the ink on top. But it really is my favorite look. Now, with starting with a white base background, if you don't have white embossing powder, or if you just want to use clear, that would work as well. Now, I like to work on a glass mat because I find it super easy to clean up once I have added all of my ink. I've got my favorite Simon Says Stamp ink blending tools and several colors of the Pawsitively saturated ink. We're going to use Cheeky, and then we're going to use Melon, and I'm creating my rainbow blended background at an angle, which is also one of my very favorite designs. Lemonade is up next. And I did go ahead and leave that background bigger than I need. I can trim it down here in a little bit. As you add more and more color, don't be afraid to go back with your blending brushes and get that blend to be seamless. LIMELICIOUS is next, followed by SEAFOAM. So I only did a 5-color rainbow for this particular card design, as I felt like I kind of was running out of room and there wasn't room to add any other colors. And we're going to blend that SEAFOAM into the LIMELICIOUS. Now, once you have the ink blend the way you want it to look, be sure to buff away any ink remaining on the white embossed areas with a dry cloth. Then we're simply going to trim down our background, and that's going to provide a wonderful smaller border for our card. So the card height is still going to be 5.5 inches, but it's going to be a little less than 3 3/4 inches. Maybe it's 3.5. Looks like it's about 3.5 by 5.5. There we go. Look at that beautiful background. Now, I did 2 of these just like this. Next, from the Hooray It's Your Birthday set, we have got these amazing dies and also stamps. I've used the dies to die cut the large balloons, and we're going to do ink blends on these using many of the same colors, if not all the same colors that we used for the background. So one of our balloons is a nice combination of LIMELICIOUS and SEAFOAM. You can see that it has this cute star impressed design here all over the background, so it has some great texture. And we just want to get a nice pretty blend on our balloon. That looks good. Go back and forth as you need to with your inks. For the second balloon, which has more of a confetti look to it, oh, I forgot, not yet. I took the stars from the Hooray, It's Your Birthday stamp set, and I'm taking a darker shade of ink and stamping it over the star design using Perfection and Surf inks. So these are each a shade darker than the color I used for ink blending the base. It gives a nice subtle definition to the stars on our balloon. For the second balloon, we have this beautiful confetti design balloon. This time we're going to blend Cheeky and Melon together. Same thing as before, one half color at the top and one on the bottom, and then blending them both together for that beautiful seamless blend. Once we have these blended, it's time to work on the rest of the components for our card. We've got tassels, balloon strings, and all of the good stuff. Now, because these balloons are so big, this big balloon on the right is going to be the perfect place to stamp our sentiment for our card today. Looking at the design, I felt like the balloon was going to provide the best opportunity for a greeting. Sometimes you really need to look at your card and what you're placing on your card to figure out exactly where you want everything to go. The balloon tassels for our card design here, I'm also going to stamp on a separate piece of white cardstock and then die cut with the coordinating Hooray, It's Your Birthday die. I've also stamped the balloon strings, and I'm going to stamp those with Pawsitively saturated ink and flannel. However, this ink is pretty light and I don't think it shows up. So I could have just stamped, or pardon me, just die cut the balloon strings and it would kind of give the same look as the card ends up looking. Or I could have stamped the balloon strings in something darker that showed up more. I did do a little tone on tone, or not tone on tone, but blended stamping on these tassels so that they would have a little bit of multiple color, although this one looks pretty solid. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the second one first. And I used some ocean ink for that, and I decided not to try to blend it. And that's the darkest color in that trio of aqua inks. And then this is that flannel ink, which is super cute for the balloon string. And I think if I was stamping that right on my card itself, it would be perfect. But with the die cut, I just think it gets lost. I've also used some of the pucker ink to stamp Happy Birthday to You right there on the balloon, as I mentioned. It's tone on tone, but still shows up beautifully, and it's from the same stamp set. Once we have everything stamped, I'm going to snip apart the coordinating dies, use a little bit of low tack Spellbinders yellow tape to hold them in place, and run them through my die cutting machine. I need to do this for all 4 of these pieces. Now, because the balloon strings are pretty delicate, I don't want to pop those up with foam adhesive, even though I am going to pop up my balloons on my card. I always love a little bit of foam adhesive to really help define the image on a busy background. And these are a busy background, but still understated enough that it allows the balloons to take center stage. So I'm going to speed up the video just a little bit while I assemble the card background. Now, because I trimmed this panel to 3.5 by 5.5 inches, that's going to leave quite a bit of white space on either side of the background panel. I decided that I thought I should probably mat this on some cardstock to kind of just help set it off of the white background a little bit more. So I will be adding that here in a minute. You'll notice that I'm popping up my balloon and the tassel and then using some of this skinny twine. I've actually had this in my stash forever, like years and years, left over from scrapbooking days of way back when, like over 10 years old. I know it is. I've had it a very long time, super skinny, but any kind of skinny thread is going to work great here. And I'm going to tie little bows. I felt like a little addition of some thin string wrapped around the bottom of the balloons really just kind of shows these off to their best ability. And I am also going to take this glittery pin and I'm just drawing in a little detail for the tassel so it's a little sparkly. And then we're going to just tie some cute little bows. And then if you secure the bow, the center of the bow with a little bead of glue, it does help keep the little string from coming undone when you send this through the mail. Then I flipped the panel over and trimmed off the long balloon strings. I've got some mermaid cardstock from Lawn Fawn that I'm going to attach this panel to, and I love how that just frames up the text background perfectly. And then we'll pop our background down in place, and I love how it looks. Inside the card, we're going to take another greeting from the same stamp set and stamp a sentiment using the Ocean Positively Saturated ink. Now, the card is not complete until we stamp a coordinating envelope. I don't always stamp envelopes, but every time I do, I wonder why I don't do it more often because this is perfect. We're going to do some two-tone balloons, and I just am stamping this along the left side of my envelope and trying to get it blended a little bit better. It will fade out beautifully and won't be quite as noticeable that there's that harsh-ish line. Then we're going to stamp the balloon string with the flannel ink. In this case, here's a good example of not die cutting that and how it shows up better. We'll just stamp the tassel right over that, and we have a beautifully coordinated envelope that matches our birthday card. I love this. I think it just sets it off perfectly. We'll even add a few stamped stars around the balloon. And so much fun. I absolutely love creating coordinating envelopes. Let's work on our second card design. As I mentioned earlier, the background is created exactly like our first card, but this time we are using the balloon bouquet dies. What I love about this is there is a base die, and then it die cuts all of the individual balloons and you piece them together, and it's very easy to place them onto our base. So this makes it super easy. I picked the balloon where I wanted my sentiment to go. Again, this is another card where the sentiment is part of the embellishment. And I stamped that one first, and then I'm simply going to do some ink blends for all of the balloons. I did speed this up a little bit to save some time, and I'm going to work one balloon at a time so that hopefully I don't get any or too many balloons of the same color right next to each other. And they piece together so easy. Kind of have all of my balloons over here to the side. We'll do a little yellow with lemonade ink. Now you'll notice I also have some balloon strings and the balloon tie for this that are die cut from cardstock. We're going to leave the balloon strings white, but the balloon ribbon itself is going to be inked with the Cheeky and Pucker inks like the hearts in our balloon bouquet. And I'm just going to work my way through. You can really start seeing that balloon bouquet take shape. I did keep my hearts in the red color combination, and we're going to draw attention to those in the finished design, but once it's added to our card. 3 balloons left. Looks like we're going to have a little green with LIMELICIOUS and PEARFECTION maybe. A little SEAFOAM. And finally, we're going to do a little more melon. Okay, once we have this, we are going to pop up our balloon bouquet right on our background with our balloon strings. I'm going to use my pucker ink to color in the ribbon that's going to go around the balloon strings. Just kind of pounce that on easily. We're going to add glue to the back of the balloon strings and attach that down to our card. Add our little ribbon tie. So cute. And pop up our balloons. So before I add my glossy accents, I almost forgot. Let's put foam on the back of this and place it on our background panel. Over those 2 heart balloons, I am going to add some glossy accents, so they're glossy raised finish. You could add it to all the balloons if you wanted to. That is going to take quite a bit more glossy accents, and I decided to just kind of feature these 2 heart balloons. Even though it looks kind of milky now, it will dry completely clear and be the perfect little finishing touch. We're going to snip off the ends of everything hanging off the edge, and it's time to add a few finishing touches to our cards. I've got some star confetti and also some pretty pink posh pearls. I'm going to make some confetti balloons, and I'm also just going to add some stars and things to the designs. I'm going to add a couple of pearls to most of the balloons, and then also some little star confetti, just to give it a little bit of that, you know, confetti balloon type of look. I really went tone on tone for the most part with the pearls I added. An embellishment wand comes in so handy, as do these triangle trays from Simon Says Stamp that make it easy to funnel the product back into the storage container, whether it's a container like this or one of the small little bags that they come in. I've added a heart to the card over on the right. I felt like that heart matched the look and feel of that large balloon perfectly. I'm going to add a few of these pearls now. Looking for the little teeny tiny ones in my tray. And then we'll add just the finishing details. So a few more little star pieces. Oh my goodness, so pretty. I'm also going to add some glossy accents around the ribbon, tied around, kind of quote unquote, tied around the balloon strings. And then we want to stamp an envelope that matches our second card. Because I loved how the first one turned out so much, we're going to do the same thing for the second card. And we have an envelope. Oh, we're also going to stamp our sentiment, pardon me, inside of our card. And then we'll add our balloon, our tassel, the string, and the stars, but we're going to do this in the aqua green colorway. Little tassel. And then don't forget the little sprinkling of stars around the balloon. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these 2 rainbow birthday balloons cards featuring July 2023 Papertrey ink release products. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell to always be notified when there is a new video or I go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.